Welcome to the deep dive. We've put this session together just for you. Today, we're getting into something really creative, finding new garden uses for everyday stuff, upcycling. Our main inspiration comes from this great piece, Notes on Gardening, part 639, Upcycling Containers, Creative Garden Solutions.
Oh,
So, our mission here is basically to unpack the journey of a hobbyist gardener, Ang, who had this, flash of insight. We want to see how looking at ordinary plastic differently can spark some pretty cool ideas for your garden. Practical stuff, too.
it really is a fascinating journey, isn't it? This whole idea of taking something old and giving it a new life. And in gardening, well, it just fits perfectly. With all the growth and renewal happening anyway, upcycling in the garden, it feels like it's more than just saving a bit of cash or being sustainable, though that's part of it. It taps into resourcefulness, creativity, turning what you might just throw away into something, well, genuinely special and personal. It's really about reinvention.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Ang, the gardener behind these notes, starts with something I think pretty much every gardener will recognize, just ending up with tons of plastic containers.
Oh, definitely.
You know the ones, little nursery pots, maybe berry containers, milk jugs, that kind of thing. Ang mentions using them for starting seeds or as temporary pots for seedlings.
Standard practice, really.
Right. It just
Yeah.
happens when you're growing things. And let's be honest, your recycling bin probably knows all about it. Or maybe that corner in the shed.
Exactly. And Ang nails this shared problem. Plastic pots are everywhere in gardening. And for good reasons. They're light, they don't cost much, they hold up. Great for getting plants going, but then, what do you do with them all? Ang's notes kind of frame this common headache not just as, a storage issue, but like a small version of a bigger waste question. And it's this very normal problem that sort of pushed Ang towards finding creative answers, not just, what do I do with this, but more like, what else could this become?
Right. Connecting the simple act of gardening with, well, the stuff we use and throw away.
Precisely.
So Ang has got this pile of plastic, a familiar scene. But here's where the story takes a turn. This is the really interesting part, the aha moment. Ang talks about a trip to the grocery store. Just a normal errand, right?
Yeah.
Imagine walking down an aisle, maybe near the laundry stuff, and seeing something totally out of place. For Ang, it wasn't some fancy new plant food. It was a detergent bottle.
A detergent bottle.
Yeah, but get this. It was shaped like a bird. And someone, probably for a store display, had turned it into a planter right there.
Wow.
You can just picture it, right? The visual surprise, the cleverness of taking this everyday thing and making it into this charming little piece of functional art. That spark, Ang felt it's almost tangible.
That detail, the bird-shaped bottle, that's incredibly powerful. It just flips your perception of what that object is.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what makes some upcycled things catch our eye more than others?
Yeah, good question.
Ang's experience suggests it's often about more than just function. That bird shape gave it instant personality, right?
Whimsy.
It wasn't just a pot anymore. It was this delightful little feature. It went from purely practical to, well, enchanting. Added character in a way a plain plastic pot just can't. It's that mix of form and, unexpected function.
Absolutely. That jump from just useful to actually beautiful, or at least interesting, that's key. But you know how it goes? Inspiration hits, and then comes the reality check. Ang, feeling fired up by the bird bottle, looks at the existing pile of plastic containers and writes, I'm still figuring out how to convert them into proper pots.
Ah, proper pots. That's telling.
Yeah, isn't it? It points to that next step, that hurdle, going from the cool idea to actually making it work, really work for the plants.
Right. And that proper pot idea is where Ang's notes get really practical. It wasn't just a vague thought. Ang actually experimented.
Yeah.
For example, drainage. We all know you need holes, but Ang found that just punching one big hole in the bottom, especially in larger containers like jugs, wasn't always ideal.
Wow.
Well, Ang discovered that several smaller holes, maybe 3 to 5, drilled with a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch bit. They actually provide more even drainage. And they don't weaken the plastic structure as much as one large hole might. They're even staggered sometimes.
Ah, staggered. Okay.
Ang also noticed differences in the plastic itself. The cloudy plastic in milk jugs, that's HDPE. Ang found it holds up better outdoors, more UV resistant than the clearer PET plastic from, say, soda bottles.
Right, that makes sense. The clear stuff gets brittle fast.
Exactly. And for anything that wasn't food grade originally, like that detergent bottle idea, Ang was meticulous about cleaning, like a good scrub with soap and water, then a vinegar rinse, and letting it air dry completely. Get rid of any residue.
Okay, so real practical steps learned through trial and error, not just punching a hole and hoping for the best.
Precisely. These are the details that turn simple reuse into proper plant-friendly upcycling.
So drainage was one thing. What about stability? I'm picturing that bird bottle again, maybe a bit tall and thin. Could it tip over easily once a plant grows?
Yeah, stability was definitely another challenge Aang tackled. Good point. For those taller, lighter plastic containers, a couple of smart tricks emerged. One was super simple. Just add a layer of pebbles or coarse sand in the bottom before the soil goes in. Acts as ballast. Makes a huge difference against tipping, especially with leafy plants.
Ah, like weighting it down. Clever.
Yep. Another thing, especially for wider things like big yogurt tubs, was thinking about the base. Sometimes it meant setting the upcycled pot inside a heavier ceramic saucer. Just gives it a wider footprint. Aang even played around with attaching little feet, maybe bottle caps filled with sand or something similar, using waterproof glue, just to widen the base on containers that needed it.
Wow, designing for the plant's future growth, not just the initial potting.
Exactly. Thinking ahead.
Okay, and back to aesthetics. The bird bottle was inherently cool, but what about, a plain old milk jug? Did Aang find ways to make those look good? Because let's face it, most plastic isn't naturally decorative.
Right, not every container is a ready-made sculpture. And yeah, Aang got really creative here too. Painting was a big one. Found that acrylic paints, especially the outdoor kind, stick pretty well if you give the plastic a quick scuff with sandpaper first. Helps the paint grab on.
Okay, paint. Makes sense.
But it wasn't just flat color. Aang experimented with textures, mixing baking soda into paint to get this kind of faux ceramic, earthy feel.
Oh, cool idea.
Or wrapping containers. Jute twine, scraps of fabric, secured with strong glue, basically disguising the original container completely, making it look like a deliberate choice for the garden.
So elevating it from trash to treasure visually.
That's the goal. Aang also talked about combining containers,
Yeah.
like cutting the top off one big bottle and setting it inside the bottom of another one that's slightly wider, boom, a tiered planter,
Nice.
or using the bottom halves of two bottles.
Hmm.
This one's really clever, to make a self-watering system.
Hold on, a self-watering system from plastic bottles. How does that work?
It sounds complicated, but Aang's description makes it seem surprisingly simple. You take one bottle, cut off maybe the top third.
Okay.
You flip that top piece upside down and nestle it into the bottom part of another bottle, the base.
Right. Got it.
Then you need a wick, a strip of old cotton fabric, like from a t-shirt or some felt. You thread that through the neck of the upside-down top piece, so it hangs down into the bottom section. The top piece holds your soil and plant. The bottom part holds a reservoir of water, and the wick just pulls water up into the soil as the plant needs it. Consistent moisture.
That is brilliant, especially for thirsty plants, or like you said, if you're going away.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of moving beyond just using the bottle to actually engineering a better growing environment.
Yeah.
Real upcycling.
So yeah, it's this whole arc, isn't it? From just having the stuff pile up to that flash of inspiration, the bird bottle moment, and then buckling down and figuring out the nuts and bolts, solving the drainage, the stability, the look,
Yeah.
even creating something advanced like a self-watering system.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about seeing these everyday plastic things, not as problems, but as possibilities, as raw material. This deep dive into Aang's notes, it really shows how looking closer at the ordinary can unlock some genuinely satisfying creative solutions for your own space.
And that really wraps up our exploration of Aang's very resourceful garden world. Thanks so much for joining us as we dug into this blend of creativity and practical gardening know-how.
Before you go, here's something to chew on, a final thought. The next time you've got an empty plastic container in your hand, maybe it's that milk jug, a laundry bottle, even just a big yogurt tub, just pause. Before it hits the recycling, take a second look at its shape, its size, how sturdy it feels. Could this be your Aang moment? How might seeing its potential differently change how you think about, well, both recycling and adding unique touches of beauty to your own garden, maybe in ways you hadn't expected? What's hiding in plain sight in your recycling bin?